You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, this is the English part. And at 2 o'clock, we're going to do the Spanish one. You are welcome if you want to stay for the Spanish part. But you are free to leave after we finish the English part.
Here is Mr. Ken Brown, candidate for the district number 6. District number 6 in Cobb County, isn't it?
East Cobb,
East Cobb,
North Fulton, and then North DeKalb.
So
Now I can break down the actual cities. North DeKalb is Dunwoody, some Doraville, some Chamblee, Little Brookhaven.
So
and
we're knocking those hard.
Yes, always. That's what the true candidates do. And then North Fulton is Milton, Roswell, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, some Sandy Springs.
Okay. And Cobb?
And Cobb?
East Cobb is East Cobb.
I don't know what's that.
There's no city. Marietta. Yeah.
I know my house where I live in Marietta is part of the district number.
So what do I have to do?
But
What do I have to do to get your vote?
If I go 3 or 4 street down, like south, then it's another district.
Probably Barry Laudermilk.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
11th district.
Yeah, probably. Well, in order for you to get the votes from the district, citizens from the district number 6, first you need to drink the passion fruit drink. And second of all,
Closer to the mic.
No. Thank you. It's important to be close to the mic.
Yeah, second of all, I would love to hear, because I'm still living in the district that you're running. Me as a citizen, regular citizen, I would love to hear what is your agenda. I mean, when you get elected, what are you trying to tackle in the Congress, no?
Before I give you that information, you have to give me a commitment that you're not going to jump into the race of the 6th district. I give you all my secrets, all my stuff. You could jump into the race, and then I'll have, I don't know how many other candidates in the race, but there's only one candidate I'm concerned with, and that's me.
That's you.
So,
okay.
to answer your question,
Love it.
I love it because let me tell you something. I just get certified as a campaign manager.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And one of the things that they told me is that you have to be concentrated on your campaign.
Right.
You don't
Period.
have to,
You don't
The activities.
The activities on your campampane,
Right.
on your place.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Not
This
distracted.
is like a football game. Okay. The team that commits less
Errors?
is
Yeah.
the winner. That's it.
Got to focus. So, I guess
I promise I'm not going to be jumping to you.
No, I'm just joking.
I
with
promise, because I am running myself for district number 4. So we are colleagues, right?
Yes,
we are in
we're
the same
colleagues,
position.
yes.
We're trying to qualify.
Yes.
You were talking
So
about
you
Not,
want
something
to
about-
not trying to qualify. We will qualify.
Yeah. So we are in the same goal. You
Right,
and me.
right.
With different districts.
It's the same
Correct.
goal because it's bring back the House to the Republican Party.
Right.
But not only the Republican Party. I believe that we need to bring back the House to patriotism. We need to bring back the House for the constitutionalism.
Yep.
Right? And when I say that, I want to just to let you know, Kim and Carlos and Brett and David, that I wrote my book, and my book finally is out. It's here, okay? And the book is What a Mess and How to Fix It. The way that I wrote the book is giving the solution for each problem that, I didn't list all the problems that we're having, only some of them. Because if I list the whole problem, it's going to be like a book like this, right? But at least...
Encyclopedia.
Yeah, exactly. So the solutions are based on the Constitution, common sense, but not only that common sense, the law. because we need to go back to basics. Okay, so I bring 2 books today. One is for David. David, this is for you. Here it is. Oops, sorry. And the other book is for my friend Brett. Okay, I hope that you guys enjoy the reading, and I got you back. I got your back. I wanted to let you guys know, because you are American 100%, your only language is English, right? I just want to let you know that I throw some Spanglish in my book, you know, so to make a little more interesting, you know, the subjects that are, and the chapters are very short, specific, directly, and boom, 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 done.
Short to sweet to the point.
Yes, exactly. So I got you your book too, okay?
Yes.
So please do not get upset with me.
I know, I'm kidding. I always like to mess with you.
He always messes with me.
Yeah.
So you are a veteran.
Absolutely.
Okay, which
Branch?
The only branch that matters, the United States Navy.
United States?
Yes.
Okay.
Just surface warfare, the ships. We have submarines. We have aviation. We have the
What do you
Marines.
call a formation?
I don't know. What do you call a formation? I don't know.
The
What do you,
Navy.
a formation?
All
We
right,
don't.
in the Army, we have formations.
Now I was in Army Junior ROTC
Well, that's junior ROTC.
in high school.
Okay, but when you were told to fall out, you fell
Oh,
out.
so you talking about a platoon
Are you
and
gonna-
a squad? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What
Okay,
is the Navy
and a
have?
company. We have a ship. No, we have departments. We have divisions, departments. But yeah,
When you
and
fall out, how do you fall out?
we just fall out. We do what we need to do.
Oh,
We go yeah, it's a little different on a ship. But yeah, the United States Navy.
Okay, thank you for
How
your
long-
service.
how
Thank
long
you.
have you been
2 years enlisted and 7 as an officer.
Mm-hmm. And between which years?
So I'm going to date myself. I joined in August 15th of 1974
Okay.
and got a scholarship and went to University of Michigan in July, I guess August of 1976, and graduated in July of 79.
Good.
Yeah, and was commissioned and in 79 July, and got out in 80, I guess August of 86.
August of 86.
Yes,
Wow.
yes,
How many missions? A lot.
a lot of time on the water, sometimes under the water, but mostly times
Oh.
on
So
top of
you
the
were
water.
on a submarine.
Yeah, I did
Navy
did that in a lot of
SEAL?
ships. No.
No.
I was I can't. On my last duty station, I was also in charge of a Navy and Marine attachment on board various ships.
Wow.
Yeah, and but yeah, I was a assistant engineering officer. I was a stream officer on board another ship, and then had that opportunity. So,
Thank you for your service, my friend.
my pleasure.
Yesterday was the induction on the Hall of Fame of the veterans in
Yes.
downtown. It was a beautiful ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
As anything new, because it was in the rotunda, in the place. You have room to improve, but it was a beautiful, very touchy ceremony, and we transmitted by RACI, the Red Alternativa Capitalista de Información. It was nice. Invited by our friend. Okay. So, Johsie.
I am sharing this interview in different pages, including your own page. So you go ahead, continue, please.
Okay. So, plans for the future.
Yeah.
How's your platform? How is your campaign?
I think the first thing to talk about is how I got involved in the Republican Party, and I think that makes sense. So, and I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. One of my
You are also an author, and also you have a business to improve people. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, back then I was a certified financial planner, and we were wrapping up a meeting,
Okay.
and my client asked me a very strange question. He said, "Hey, you should go to this Republican meeting." And I paused for a minute, and I'm like, "Okay, do I look Republican to you?" I broke it down for him. I said, my mother had me at 17 years old. My father was 18. They probably got married to legitimize my birth. My grandfather was an international rep for the United Auto Workers, and he would employ me or pay me in terms of cheeseburgers and grape soda and Tahitian treat to if I would go knock on doors and for the Democrats, and they had a straight ticket, and he's instructed me to knock on the door and say, "Vote Democrat, straight ticket." So, and then he would feed me after that. But I went to University of Michigan, which is a very liberal university.
Okay.
And Jesse Jackson was my commencement speaker.
Okay.
And John Conyers was my congressman. He just recently passed away, but I think he was in office for about over 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just said to my client, didn't want to lose the client, but I just said, do I look Republican? And he said, "Oh, well, you always talk about personal responsibility and entrepreneurship and free enterprise." I said, "Yeah, but what does that have to do with the Republican Party?" Because I didn't know. I didn't know.
Okay, keep going.
Now keep in mind, he wasn't saying let's go together. I'll take you. He said, "Why don't you need to go to this Republican meeting?"
Yeah.
I lived in Gwinnett County in Peachtree Corners, Norcross, and he wanted me to fight all that traffic and take 285 around west and then take 75 north, which I call the parking lot. It's still a parking lot. It's 1991.
1991.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you what you were doing in 1991.
I was not even here. In 93. I came on the 93 on the Bill Clinton.
You weren't born?
No,
you weren't born?
No, I was born, of course. I came when the Clinton were elected a year before.
24 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was
That's
longer than
nice.
that. But so he just said, you should go. So I went. Now, if it's kind of like I've never met a Republican. Had never met a Republican in my life. Not in Detroit, not ever. I actually saw some black Republicans one time in Buffalo, New York. I used to live there. And it didn't seem like they were interested in talking with me, so I didn't talk to them. So politics was not a part of my life until 1991. So I went to the meeting, and I liked what they had to say. They talked about the history of the Republican Party, and I said, "Do you have anything in writing?" And what do you think they gave me?
U.S. Constitution.
Everybody said, I have the U.S. Constitution here.
Okay.
It's not what they gave me. What they gave me was this.
The principles?
The principles. And you see here on the top, you have the elephant with the state of Georgia. And
okay.
and so they gave that to me, and I opened it up, and the first thing I saw was personal responsibility. And that made sense. Huh?
And it hits you.
It hits you.
Yeah. And I said, wow. And my mother said, nobody's going to give you anything. If you want it, you have to get it yourself. That made sense. Check. Then I saw entrepreneurship, free enterprise. And I said, that makes sense because at that point,
rights,
I've been
justice.
Yeah, and I've been self-employed since 1988.
Wow.
And
great.
when you're an entrepreneur, you get paid for what you're worth. You don't get a guaranteed paycheck. And when you do that for me, being an entrepreneur, I had the opportunity to be a role model for my kids, to provide for the church, to spend time in the schools and commit or spend time and invest in my community. That's
So
what
I
entrepreneurship
see-
is.
I see
That's what it
here
means.
nine different reasons,
Right.
all right, of why I am a Republican. It's
Right.
it's the 10 Commandment, almost the 10 Commandment, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, almost there. It's only 9, but it's impressive. Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of this at the end, and so we can put it in the
Okay.
internet, so
Yeah.
people can.
So-
because it's important to know.
Other things I saw in there was, besides free enterprise, personal responsibility. But in terms of responsibility, my mother said, nobody's going to give you anything. If you want it, you got to get it yourself. I said, that makes sense. And then I saw self-sufficiency is not in there, but my father, the reason why I got into the the military because he said, you know, you can go. I was going to be a veterinarian, then change to want to be an electrician. And I announced that to him, and then within a week he said, "Seems like you don't know what you want to do. I suggest you go to military, but you can go to college. But the military might be better because it gives you an opportunity to learn a skill, get the GI Bill, learn to, you travel, make money." And then he said something that really got my attention because, I was sitting there with my father, being very respectful of my father. But as he was going through the checklist, I'm saying, nope, not going to do it, nope, But I wasn't saying that to him. So, second from last, he says to get out the house, which got my attention. But the last thing he said to me was, you can do what you want to do, but you can't stay here. What? You got to go. I'm like, we didn't have this conversation before. I lived with my father from 14 to, I guess, 17 and a half. He had to sign for me to get in. But we didn't have this conversation. So now he's telling me I got to go. So he signed for me to join the military. But that's self-sufficiency. I don't think that conversation happens as much as it should happen nowadays. I think kids stay with their parents for seems like ever in their 20s and
30 years old, 40 years old, they're still living with their parents. There was a case in New York.
It could be cultural.
Come this way because you are out of the camera. There is a case in New York where this couple, old lady, old man, Mary. We're gonna go on a break and we'll come back in a few minutes.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower. Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call them.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
So, like I was saying before, there was a case. This couple, these parents took their son, who was living with them. The couple, they were like a 70-something years old, both of them. They took their son to court because their son, who was like a 40-something, 50 years old,
and he wouldn't leave.
Didn't want to leave the house, and their parents have to take him to court. So the judge have to give him a court order that he needs to leave the house because the parents were tired of feeding him. He didn't want to go to work. He didn't want to do nothing. I guess he was waiting for them to pass away and then inherit the apartment. I don't know, because that's the mentality. Because we are talking now of Venezuelan, let's talk Venezuelan. That's the same mentality in Venezuela. A lot of sons, men, they just waiting for their parents to pass away and they get the houses. They don't want to go.
And they stay there.
And they stay there. They get married. They bring the wife to the house. They have kids in the house. So the house become like a, how you call that, la vecindad? How do you say? Like a
hacienda?
Vecindad is like a lot of people live in one house, like a, and then when the community, yes, that is
a commune.
A commune, yeah,
in
the house. So. And then the big problem start is when the mom and the father passed away, they start the fight.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Absolutely.
That's when they start the fight because this brother won the house, the other brother and the other sister. So
they have and it's a very complex situation.
Just because they're
the
waiting.
Inheritance is awful. because the government took 50% of the value of the property.
Really?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like
Well,
America.
that sounds like the Obamacare with the code.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody died, I remember it was embedded in when they passed the Obamacare. Like somebody died, the property, half of the property value were straight to the Obamacare, and the other half was distributed to the kids. You didn't know about that with the
No.
Obamacare? Yeah, the same thing.
It was,
So the self-sufficient mentality in our country, like back home when I used to be Venezuela, live in Venezuela, I am American now. That was the mentality. You wait for your parents to die, and then you fight for the house, and then it's a war between the family.
It's a
But
shame.
nobody's motivated to go out there
And work.
and find their own feet.
Way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is another kind of what you're explaining is what we call the Americanism, the American way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we allow like refugees from Islamic countries, like refugees from socialist country, or those caravans coming into the United States, what we are experiencing is that the politicians are trying to replace the American culture, which is like you were saying, explaining, for this culture that people do come in with other culture to implement it here, because when they get here as a refugee, you need to supply them housing, food, medical, at least for 5 years until
What?
they become citizens.
Really?
Yeah, refugees. We pay for all that
Wow.
for free.
How much is that?
Well, it depends, because if
Millions. It's a lot of money.
yeah,
It's a lot
Okay.
of money.
it depends, because if a man who's coming from Syria, they brought him over here and he got 4 wives.
What?
Those men have 4 wives.
4 wives, yes.
They have 4 wives, and
Okay.
each wife have 4 kids. So
Wow.
they bring him with the 4 wives. Each wife bring their own kids, 4, 5 kids each one. So we're talking about a family. How many? 25 people.
Yeah, about.
Wow.
Okay, and each
It's a lot of kids.
and each mother with kids, they assign a house to that mother with those kids. So the only one who's not having a house is the man, because what he does is he goes from one house to another house because that's their culture. So he don't have to work. Why he don't have to work? Because the government is paying the ladies and their kids, and they're trapped in that system that we, the American, are trying to unwind.
Right.
For example, the minority like the blacks, we are trying to unwind the Latinos and the poor white who are in that system. So it's like I'm seeing it like a replacement. They're trying to replace our culture, our way of living, our way of doing things by bringing those people and interrupt and create chaos here in the United States.
So, you get into the military
Right.
and you spend 7 years
2 years enlisted and 7 as an officer.
as an officer. So, 9 years in total.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and your mentality changed 180 degrees.
I think I went into the military based on the guidance of my father,
Mm-hmm.
that I could learn a trade, I could, make money, travel. But I learned so much more because being in the military, I had opportunity to travel to different places. Hawaii is part of the United States, but I went to Guam, which is part of the United States. But I also went to Philippines, Japan,
Guam.
South
Guam,
Korea.
Did it
Huh?
flip?
What?
Not? Guam.
No, I didn't.
No, it didn't.
It didn't
Not
flip?
yet?
No, it didn't
At that
flip.
time, no.
No.
No, okay.
Okay.
You gotta talk to Hank about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't flipping.
Leave him to me.
Yeah.
Him to me.
Yeah, but I've been to Hong Kong,
Okay.
China, Scotland, and I've been to Spain, Sweden, Switzerland,
Okay.
and without a doubt, America is the best place to live, work, raise kids, and build a business. And I'm happy that I was fortunate to was born in the
You
United
were
States of America.
Lucky, yes.
And so it solidified my love for this country and the opportunities that we have. And then when you look at the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, there's some beauty, some wisdom here in the book. And so, but that's what happened. I mean, I saw personal responsibility, entrepreneurship, other things I saw in here. If I can speak really quickly about it, is it said the best government is a government closer to the people. And that made sense to me because, we can't, I think nowadays we try to rely on the president to do our things, what we want, and that's not good. The best government is right here. Where all the experiment happens is local, state, local, and city government.
Exactly.
And so, but we turn away from that, and we want the presidents to solve our problems. But the other
That
thing
sounds
is
like Venezuelan.
And let me tell you something. She's right now in a tour on the district, and we're visiting the
communities,
communities,
right,
and the councils, the mayors, asking them what's the needs, what can we do for them? Okay.
When I get elected, what can we do for them when I get elected?
the question that you should ask for the people in the community is, what is the role of government? What is the role of the federal government? What is the role of the state government? What is the role of the
local,
the city or the county? And what should we be focusing on? Because a lot of times when you focus on the wrong things, prevents you from doing the things you should do.
Yes,
That's right.
that's right.
So
That's right.
I think but what you're seeing in there is that we have turned away from what we call key institutions. Key institution is individualism. You have to figure out what you need to do, whatever your talent and skill is, figure that out, and you make yourself a success. You don't rely on somebody else. Somebody else can help you, but the bottom line is it's up to you to make a success of your life. That's individualism. The other thing is family, which is another key institution. Families that's where we learn. That's our first role models. And then we have schools, then we have the church, and we have small business. And then and in community organizations. So what has happened is that we start turning away from those key institutions, which got us to who we are and what we are defined, and we've turned towards government, and that's not right. And when you turn towards government, you weaken those key institutions, and that's some of the problems that we have nowadays. So
I'm gonna
the presidentialism, that everything has to be repaired by the president.
yeah, and that costs money and your freedom and your liberty
Yeah,
and your property.
That sounds like Venezuela, where the principle of those principles that you were talking about, that it was replaced for over 80 years. It was replaced by government.
Progressive, little by
In
little.
a
And what did they start with?
They start changing the constitution.
Okay.
They start
changing the
changing,
constitution.
and making replace this key institution that you are talking about with other institutions that they.
But what was controlled by the government?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we will back in a minute. This is America's Web Radio, and this is
Let's talk Venezuelan.
My name is Mike Mazel. I'm a retired Army colonel and president of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. We meet in Newtown Park, and part of one of our projects is the installation of the Healing Wall, the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that traveled the United States. Well, it's coming to rest, and it's going to live in Johns Creek forever, the half-scale model. We're looking at possibly a March implementation of a ribbon cutting ceremony, and we're looking for donors and sponsors that want to help us in this great project. You can donate at jcvets.org.
You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan, and every family will save thousands of dollars a year. I'm Ellen Deal, and if you've been hurt by the Affordable Care Act, you can email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com to see if we can help. Small business owners, individuals, families, and baby boomers, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com for 3 easy questions to determine if you can get away from Obamacare. I'm a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry and here to help you for all your insurance needs.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
This is steroids on me. Okay. Well, we are with Ken Brown. He is the candidate for district number 6.
I like how you said that. I should put that in a title. Put it in the card. The candidate.
The candidate for district number 6, and he's a very good guy. Okay?
I think so.
With the common sense, that is the less common of the senses. Okay, so when the government replace the institutions,
those key institutions, yes.
Okay, by other institutions, what happened?
What happened? What happens is it weakens those key institutions. We don't celebrate. We don't promote. We don't embrace individualism. We kind of depend on other people to do our
in
stuff.
Spain right now, there's a big discussion because one minister of government says your sons, your children belongs to us.
Oh yeah, that's Spain. Yeah, in Venezuela it's the same thing. In Venezuela, there is an organization, they call it La LOGNA. LOGNA, and they are like the Department of Children and Family here, but in steroids.
In what?
With steroids, like
With
steroids, like
with extra stuff, I guess.
yeah, like Department of Children and Family here is already bad here in the United States. I used to work with the Department of Children and Family, and you can see a lot of abuse in there when it comes to the money, right? But in Venezuela, it's like 4 or 5 times worse than what is already here. And basically in Venezuela, the children don't belong to the parents anymore. It belongs to the
what happens when the kids don't belong? Do they probably honor the government more than they honor their parents, and then the parents don't hold them accountable. I'm not sure the government holds them accountable.
Some parents are put in jail just because the kids are complaining about the parents.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that impact the kids? What?
Well, they messed up.
Wow.
Because when they grow up, they don't have like you say, the concept of family. Because the family is the foundation of the society.
Yes.
It's the foundation of the country. And when you destroy the family, you basically are destroying the country. And that's what we are seeing here with, for example, I am not against the gays. Okay, I'm not against the gay with their whatever.
Community.
I mean, any person do with their life and their body whatever they want to do, as long as it doesn't affect somebody else. But when you allow transgenders or how you call it, drag queens, go to the library and read stories to your kids and make your kids get these concepts a little
weird,
you are destroying the foundation of the society right there. Because I'm not saying that your kids are not going to be exposed in the future to know about that kind of style of life.
It's probably a time and place.
Exactly.
And it's up to our kids.
Too small.
Our kids should be counseled and raised by parents and not
has to do
not the
with
library.
A 4-year-old children.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
and it introduces other things that probably should not be discussed until
certain age.
Yeah, probably when they're 18 or 17 or out the house. But
14, 12.
But not 4 years old.
Because today, our kids are glued into the cell phone.
Yeah.
And they get more information to the cell phone than they can get from us, the parents.
Unfortunately.
So when you say 14, 16, I'm telling you, they already know at 12 what's going on. So it's better to talk at 10. They already know what is sex, what is drug, what is this, what is that, and what is the other stuff. So at 10 years old I think it's a better age because they already are exposed and you can explain to the parents. But before 10 years old, like a 4 year, 6 year, come on, and that's the way. That's how the leftists in the United States are destroying this country. They are destroying this country using those kind of
specifically the socialist democratic.
Did you have you seen this? There, I don't have it in front of me, but there's the 45 communist goals that were
Oh yeah, and
read
what-
into the
yes,
congressional
and
record in
then-
1963.
Yes.
And they said, and I can look it up pretty quickly. 90% of those things have come into play, and
Yes.
I'll have to bring it up. We can talk about it if you want to. But-
I mean,
or give myself
United States is being under the socialist influence. It's not because
it's okay to
8
look
years
at
ago.
this one.
Yeah. It's not only because 8 years ago. You remember that documentary that I watched, Carlos, that says Grinding American Down?
Yes.
You remember that documentary?
Of course.
Okay, that documentary speaks about how American is being destroyed little by little, and that started in the 30s. 1930s.
Long before that.
Well, I'm talking about the
Okay,
documentary. They say it's the
that-
30.
Yes. But
Okay?
You have here in United States a lot of violence from the left. Okay, people forget that in the 20s we have bombs, explosions
Okay.
in New York. Okay, where they kill people. Okay, and they were anarchists and socialists. Okay, and so the socialists are getting into the security of this country since the 1880s. Okay, so this is not new. Okay.
You just mentioned the Socialist Democratic Party. Number 15 of the 45 goals.
Okay.
Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States.
Bingo.
Bam.
Ban!
As we're saying here, and have been for the last couple of weeks, we are in the 21st century Cold War.
Yes.
And this started in 1955. It started when Khrushchev said, "We will take you without firing a shot." And
Exactly.
he slammed his shoe down on the UN desk, and we will infiltrate your universities, your high schools, middle schools, and we will take over the publication of your history books.
That's correct.
That's number 17. Get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of the Teachers Association. Put party line in textbooks.
There's one other thing that's not mentioned in that because there were none, and that is the subliminal message that the computer games that all the kids play, what's being said and what's the subliminal messages that they're getting.
What's the message in there?
Socialism, and that there's another way, better way. I don't know. I'm
Okay,
not.
okay.
Nobody's broken it down.
I want to know. You brought that up. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting.
When I started out in this business, we had NTBS that was scared that there were subliminal messages being sent over television, and they monitored everything. Who's monitoring our electronic games? Nobody. And for a parent to let their kids play these games for hours on end, what are they learning? And they're fighting, and they're showing people fighting and getting killed and then getting up and walking away. That's not reality.
That's not reality, that's right.
And, but
Well,
nobody's monitoring
now
what
that you're
those games
talking-
are saying.
Now that you're talking about game, there was a famous game that it took a lot of life from little kids, because the game took them to a point that they have to commit suicidal. In Colombia, it was in many cases, like 20 cases of kids killing themselves because of the game. In the whale, I remember the name of the whale.
It's technology. People think
Yeah.
they're connected to technology, but it's really separating us and keeping us. Yeah, I
What
mean,
is that?
As I mentioned one more time, folks, listen up. We are in the 21st century Cold War, and that's the only way to describe it. And there's only one way out, and that's for parents to be parents and take responsibility for their kids and what they're learning or not learning in school. And I was never for friend of homeschooling, but I am now because they're not getting it in public schools.
Absolutely. School choice.
School choice.
Charter schools.
Charter school. Homeschooling.
Put the parents in charge of the schooling, and not the school boards.
If they haven't already been so indoctrinated that they don't know what they're doing. And we're in a very scary problem.
At university levels.
University level is communist 100%.
100%.
Have you seen
Georgia
the
State University is one of those
it's unbelievable.
places. It's unbelievable.
You should see. Have you seen the movie Safe Places? No Safe Spaces?
No.
It's excellent. It's basically talking about suppression of free speech. It's scary. It makes you sad, angry, and frightened all at the same time.
But you know what? We allow that. We, the American citizens, allow that. We let them run the school. We let them run the university. I mean, universities are financed by our taxpayer. We, the taxpayer.
So
and we are just comfortable just sending the kids to school. They spend more time in school than in the house. Okay? And I understand, David, Ken, that some mothers cannot be taking care of the kids because they need to go out and work because they don't have no father in the house.
So what's the solution?
I understand that. But
what should the government do, or what should
The government shouldn't do a damn thing. They screw up enough.
Good point.
They need to go from that. The parents have to take control of the situation.
The parents have to take it. They have to do homeschooling.
Like, for example, I was talking yesterday with the general. Remember? I was talking to him. Okay, I got you, Mom. I understand your situation. But let me unwind your children. Let me teach them a better possibility. For example, there is some mother who stay home. Why, as a community, 3, 4, 5 different mothers come together and say, hey, let's do homeschooling in our house.
Yep.
And then one of them get in charge while they are in online learning, whatever. And then the extracurricular classes like sport, history, other extra things that they are not learning at school, like a civics.
Right.
How to sit down and eat, the etiquette. Those are extra things that we need to teach our kids because mommy is gotta work.
There's one word that covers it all, and that's discipline.
Yeah.
And we have discipline. If you've been in the military, that's what keeps the military together. Is discipline.
You had a strong mother. My mother would kill me, and she was a little lady. I didn't realize how, but she towered over me. But she was very strict. And my father was bigger than me. He was like 6'1".
Authority, authority.
Yeah, la chancla.
Yeah.
La chancla. You know what is la chancla? The flip-flop. Spanish mom, they take it and they throw it on you if you don't behave. La chancla. That's what we call it, la chancla. And
my mother had a belt.
The belt.
And punishment.
Yes. Yeah, that was
I would stay in my room, couldn't go outside. Oh my God, that killed me.
That was the old good days.
Yes.
When I was raising my children, David, one of them, my middle one, she said, you keep it there, you're going to call the police. Okay, call the police. In the meantime, the police get here, you're going to see how's going to go. And then you're not going to see me anymore. Things they're teaching, I'm trying to raise my children to be respectful, to be civil, to be citizens. Good citizens.
Not residents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, so that list is very important.
I don't know how much time we've got. It says in here, we're talking about the communist goals. Number 20 was infiltrate the press, get control of book reviews. Okay. Gain control of key institutions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. President Trump says the fake news. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we have a problem right now with Facebook, a deep problem, because anything that we are doing, they want to block it. Okay.
We'll be back. We're going in a break.
Yes.
Let's talk Venezuelan. Okay.
My name is Mike Mazel. I'm a retired Army colonel and the president of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. We're out in Newtown Park, and part of one of our projects is the installation of the Higgling Wall, the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that traveled the United States. Well, it's coming to rest, and it's going to live in Johns Creek forever, the half-scale model. We're looking at possibly a March implementation of the ribbon cutting ceremony, and we're looking for donors and sponsors that want to help us in this great project. You can donate at jcevents.org.
The disease of addiction is a life-altering challenge, not just for the person suffering its effects, but also for the family and friends who support and love the one caught in its grasp. What should be the course of treatment? Who is the best person to render treatment? And what is the best place to go for the care that is needed? We know that you want answers to these and many more questions. Call 770-696-9862 and speak to a representative of the Atlanta Healing Center. They can tailor a program specifically designed to address the needs of the person suffering with an addiction, or give you guidance as to where that help may be found. Information is the key, and the trained staff at AHC is here to assist. If you wish, you can also get more information on the website located at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Well, we are in Let's Talk Venezuelan, and our guest, Mr. K. Brown.
Ken Brown.
Ken Brown. Como dicen en México.
Brown. Okay.
He's a tough guy. Okay? That's not a bad word. So, you are talking about the infiltration of these ideas.
Communist goals
Yes.
that infiltrating our
That's known as the
our America.
Hamburg School.
The Hamburg.
Infiltrate all these institutions in order to replace it by other institutions. Okay, transform it from inside. That's an idea of Gramsci, an old Italian politician that said that in order to replace something, you have to destroy what is the
And that's
other
exactly
ideas.
what happened in Venezuela.
Oh,
they
and it's-
destroy
and
Venezuela
it's happened-
identity completely. They stop thinking and listening Venezuelan music, like let's say United States, the country music is what it defines United States, right? In Venezuela,
Don't forget R&B and soul.
Yes.
Rhythm and blues.
I just yeah,
Okay,
a
okay.
little example. But in Venezuela, the typical music, like Venezuelan, is like the llanos, la música llanera, the folklore. Well, these people from Cuba came to Venezuela and they replaced our music for the Cuban music.
Really?
Yeah.
They changed the
And
whole
they began,
mentality.
and they began little by little. You know, they play Venezuelan music and they put Cuban dances. Okay, something that has nothing to do with Venezuela, but little by little they changed the mentality of the Venezuelan people. That's why now we even have in Venezuela right now the president named the ambassador of Cuba as part of the cabinet.
Could you believe that?
Could you believe that?
The ambassador of Cuba is part of the cabinet.
Of the cabinet,
of
Venezuela government.
The Venezuela government.
Okay, so and in this part I have two names that are from the University of the State, the Georgia State University, that are propagandists of the communists. The first name is Fernando Riati. He's an Argentinian, and he's promoting communists in the university.
What's he doing? What's his title?
He's a
professor?
teacher. He's a professor.
Okay.
Yeah.
A professor of Castellano, Spanish?
Yes, Spanish.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
other one is Leslie Marsh. I have the names here. Okay, I cannot say who denounced it because it's okay. But these two people, what are they doing in the United States? Okay, the problem happens since 1975 when the House of the House replaced a committee that was always there. That's the House Committee of Un-American Activities, and they wiped out that and put it aside, and in the name of liberty of others, replace our security
and our liberty
and our
liberties,
freedom,
our
and our freedom. Okay, so one of the ideas that she's bringing to the House, and I want you to support, is to bring back the un-American activities of the House in order to check this kind of people. Okay, what the hell are these people doing in the United States?
It's kind of
any person
industrial educational complex needs to be broken down, and the United States or the government should not be funding stuff that's not supporting our principles, our values, our virtues.
It's a university that's paying with your taxes, our taxes.
Yeah, for example, if that agency would stay today working, that committee, I'm sorry, not agency, committee, in the House, we wouldn't have the problem that we're having today. Like Ilhan Omar, we wouldn't have her. We wouldn't have Rashida Tlaib. We wouldn't have AOC. We wouldn't have Ayanna Pressley.
No.
You know, the squad. All those four. And I don't even want to name the one who are behind her, who are quiet, which are doing the most dangerous part. Because these four ladies here, they are like a puppets here, diversion. Everybody's putting attention in these four here. But who the really one who are doing the damage are Hank Johnson, Bernie Sanders, Andre Carson, which is a Muslim guy who is in the House. And there is another person that
they are the seniors.
The seniors. They are the ones who are doing underground, like for example, the impeachment, the investigations, wasting so much money in those investigations that the outcome is nothing.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
If we would have had the committee of today, all this problem would be prevented. Because all of them, for example, AOC, she wants communists here. That's anti-American. This is un-American. Ilhan Omar, she wants the Sharia law.
The Sharia law.
Rashida, she wants to kill all the Jews, and she promotes that. And the Jamaican girl, she just wants the colonial way of mentality when America left Great Britain. A long time ago, they say to England, bye-bye. We are independent.
And curiously, the United Kingdom just left the Brexit. Yeah,
I sent you the video.
The European Union. Okay, they said we agree for a common market, not for this kind of things where they wanted to impose laws on us. Hey, welcome. Taxation without representation is tyranny. Okay, they
have the place with
two countries in the European Union, France and Holland. No, we don't want to be in a political union. We just want to have a common market and a common money, but not a common law. And even though they said the politicians in Europe says no, we impose you this structure,
and then you have to think who is behind all of them to be imposing.
Muslims.
The Muslims are behind all of them. Why? Because this Muslim, with the 20 years of booming of the petroleum, they make millions and millions of money. They came with that money from Saudi Arabia, from all those countries, and they invest the money in Europe. How do they invest the money?
States.
Yeah, United States too, but let's concentrate in Europe. They invest the money in the car industry. When you say car, we're talking about Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, all those expensive cars. They invest the money in manufacturing, all that. So they're lobbyists in the government. So those presidents in Europe have to do what these people ask them to do. Hey, remember, we brought money to your country now. Pay back time.
What are the Muslims and communists, and why are they working together, and what do they have in common?
Government dependency on government. That's what they have in common.
What they have
Control.
in common is if I don't kill you today, I'll kill you tomorrow. I've got all the time in the
Tomorrow, I'll
world."
kill you tomorrow.
And they have the belief that no hurry, I'm gonna take over your government. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that.
And they say
Gaddafi. He said that Occident, Europe and United States, will be theirs because the force of their women's wound.
They will take over our countries by the wound, and it's matter of time. They always says that it's matter of time. So they are planning not for now. They are planning for the future. While they are not 30% on the population, they are quiet. They are quiet. But as soon as they reach 30% of the population, what is the population of the United States?
What did the general
It's
say
330
yesterday about the fact
30
that
million.
Why do the communists want Venezuela?
Because of resources, natural resources.
Yes, there are. They can't deliver resources anymore. They've blown them away.
Yeah,
But it means that they can put missiles there.
Yes.
where
It's
they can't
closer
reach
to
us.
United
Closer
States.
to United
Okay.
States.
It's not the
by
resources
the
like
way,
it used to be before.
By
It's not
the way,
anymore.
do you remember what we were talking about the biggest refinery
The
in
refineries.
okay, yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and why was closed?
They closed down
They
the
closed
biggest.
down the-
Okay, you see,
Yeah.
it's not about resources anymore. It's
Yeah,
about
'cause they don't-
strategic.
right.
It's about military strategic from Iran, because in Venezuela, Iran is controlling Venezuela now.
Right.
We are in deep water with Iran. It's not only Iran over there. It's Iran in Venezuela. It's Iran in Bolivia. It's Iran in Paraguay, in
Wow.
Uruguay.
Very well can be Iran next door too.
Yes.
We don't have
Ca-
any clue how many cells there are in the United States.
You were
With
talking,
guns.
David. You were talking about the problems that we have, that the communists are coming over and that they don't have to. But they're,
No,
they're
and
ready.
they, and they
But-
want to disarm us.
But
They
the-
get rid of the Second Amendment.
Right.
But
But
you
the-
know something? These Muslims won't disarm themselves. So what happens with responsible citizens? Gave up.
You know,
their-
I get into the conclusion the Islamists are pushing for the Second Amendment to be abolished. It's because they are been using knife and swords for many centuries. Remember, they are always been using a sword. They always cut the hair used to cut the hair in the Crusades, before the Crusade and after the Crusade. And every time they go, look what happened in New York with this family. This Muslim guy got into the Jewish family, and he almost killed a person with a machete.
Wow. But
So
you,
now-
yeah, but you were. How much time do we have?
Yeah, go ahead.
But-
We're running down.
Yeah. So I guess we've got some problems in the United States. We're we're $23 trillion in debt, and there's some unfunded mandates. Probably gets maybe another 100 trillion. Health insurance is like a second house payment.
Yes.
We still got to get the border fixed.
Oh yeah.
We're killing babies once they're born.
Yeah. So when we get there, we need to fix all that.
Social Security and Medicare are going bankrupt.
You have a lot to do at Congress, my friend.
But congressional people are eating chicken and spending money needlessly on stuff. So we
And
got
they're
some
sending
problems.
money
We need to
other
focus on the
countries.
things.
Yeah, they're sending free money to other countries. Well, we're gonna come back next week. We are almost done. We are almost gone. Let's talk Venezuela next week at 1
Thanks for
o'clock.
having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having
You're
me.
welcome, Ken.
Busy, Carlos.
You are welcome anytime, okay? You wanna come back? We can
Okay.
do it.
Paseando
Thank
una
you.
vez por el malecón extraviado me quedé al ver una flor perfumando al río. Era angelical como el azar y corría.
Yes.
Okay.
Perhaps you are